The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested Hadi Sirika, the former Minister of Aviation, under former President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration over an ongoing 8 billion naira money laundering probe for the Air Nigeria project, amongst others. The embattled former minister appeared before the anti-graft agency on Tuesday, where he met with the EFCC investigators to answer questions on alleged fraudulent contracts awarded to him by a company known as Dubious Nigeria Limited, owned by his younger sibling, Abubakar Sirika, a civil servant, deputy director on level 16 in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, was arrested in February as part of the investigations into the alleged fraudulent activities perpetrated during Sirika's time as aviation minister.
According to the commission, the 8 billion naira sum was for 4 aviation contracts, and the ex-minister paid out 3.2 billion naira to his younger brothers, Dubious Nigeria Limited, who, upon the receipt of the payment, transferred it to different companies and individuals. There's no trace of work done on any of the contract items to date. Now, let's look at a breakdown of these contracts. You can see one here, that there is a fire truck maintenance and refurbishment center in Katsina Airport to the tune of over 3 billion. There's procurement and installation of elevators, air conditioners, and power generator house in Aviation House, Abuja. We also have the procurement of Magnus aircraft and stimulator for Nigerian College of Aviation Technologies area, and the construction of the terminal building in Katsina Airport. Now, these 4 contracts, there hasn't been proof that work has been done on any of them till date. Joining us now to discuss this is Toni Ukachukwu, the publisher, CEO, Aviators Africa. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Now, whilst we know that this does not in any way have anything to do with Nigerian Air, we want to quickly clarify that this is in relation to the 4 projects that has been said to be fraudulently distributed. So, first of all, is this the first time you're hearing about this? And talk to us about, your reaction, your first reaction when you heard of his arrest.
So basically, Hadi has making the headlines, when it comes to aviation in Nigeria because of his administration over the last 8 years, the former administration. So whenever we hear Hadi, it's not surprising because a whole lot has been tied to him. So I'm not surprised because talking about arrest or investigation into his administration is not a matter of if, it was a matter of when will Hadi Sirika be arrested, to answer for his administration.
Actually, it'd be a matter of if.
Well, okay, I want to believe that we are progressing, in this country, and we want to do things right.
Okay. Yeah.
So haven't had what happened in the aviation industry for the last 8 years, and so many things went foul. We are expectant that he'll be called to answer for his administration. So that's why I said, I'm hoping that we're in a normal climb. Okay, so basically it wasn't surprising because a whole lot of things has gone not done rightly by Hadi because going by corporate governance of the Ministry of Aviation, nothing of such was happened. The agencies had no boards. It was just Hadi Sirika, him and him alone, dishing out the contract, supervising the contract, disposing the funds, no accountability. So things like this will surely come up.
Is this common practice, for ministries like this? Is this something that, you can say happens a lot in those ministries?
Well, I'll speak for my ministry, which is Ministry of the sector that I'm in, which is the aviation sector. When Hadi came in, first of all, we started clamoring before the last administration came in. We've had many ministers of aviation who were not, in quotes, aviation technocrats or aviators, okay, to understand the sector, to be able to administer or be ministers of that industry. So for many years, a lot of rot has gone down, and the sector keeps, rather than progressing, keeps retrogressing because a whole lot of ministers come in, they don't even understand the sector, they don't understand how to go about issues. A lot of them are technical, a lot of them are considered a regulated sector. Yeah. Hadi had a little stint of aviation in him, having done a few courses. So we thought, okay, we are coming home now, okay? Somebody like us that understands the sector is now, so it's a reprieve. But, we were surprised, how he went about superintending over issues. The stakeholders were trying to tell him that he needs to set up boards, he needs to carry them along, but he just had his own way of doing things, and then this is how everything turned out.
So what is it about the sector? Is there anything about it that makes it easy for people to come in and, quote unquote, misbehave?
Yeah, I mean, if there are no structures, if there's no checks and balances in any corporate organization or ministry, there's no corporate governance, of course, issues like this will play out.
So what does check and balance look like in the aviation sector?
So basically, check and balance means, there's a minister, we have many agencies, Civil Aviation Authority, FAN, NCAT, NIMET, about 6 agencies. There should be boards running those agencies, okay? So the minister will not just have a direct hand to say, okay, MD of this agency, do this. I want you to carry out this contract without checks and balances. So this boss will be able to say, no, we can't do this. By the acts governing this, we can't do this. Help check the minister, because the minister is just, okay, I'm the minister, but the MDs of those agencies with the boards understand the sector and be able to say, okay, we can't do this. This is against the law. For example, I'll give you a case in point. The last DG of Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, was suspended, and now we have an acting DG of NCAA. Now, by law, a DG of NCAA can only be removed by the House. Okay, so now there's an issue now. The acting NCAA DG cannot be confirmed because the other one that was suspended, his issues have not been resolved yet. He was just suspended. So there's an imbroglio, because by law, it's only the House that can, the Senate that can remove the other one. So if he was suspended and he's been investigated, the investigation needs to be concluded. If he's not found wanting, he needs to be reinstated.
So there's a vacancy there.
Well, not a vacancy, there's an acting DG, but I was saying it's moving from acting to now being confirmed is not an issue, because there's a lot that needs to go through. So these are the issues that we're having. But when you just say, okay, you are sacked, you are reinstated, we must follow the due process so that things can be done accordingly.
The Muhammad Buhari administration was distinct. And I don't mean that necessarily in a positive way, but it came, as a shock to many Nigerians. It was 8 years of Nigerians just having their jaws dropped constantly for 8 years. Can you speak on what we would have been able to do if we didn't have this alleged level of mismanagement in the aviation sector? Because we're talking about someone who was Minister of Aviation, who handled Nigerian Air, project that failed, at least for now, is still a failure. Who,
and yet has not been invited to answer.
Who claimed, to have purchased 12 firefighting vehicles for 12 billion naira, meaning he bought the 1 billion naira each. So, these things have almost seemingly been glaring all the time that he was there. So, how much better do you think our aviation sector could have been if we had these checks and balances that you spoke about? If we didn't have billions just being sent to siblings randomly?
So basically, first of all, people need to understand that the aviation industry is critical to the economy of a nation. Okay? That understanding helps in planning the economic blueprints. And I'm hoping that the administrators of this present administration can understand that and help fast-track that sector to move forward. With the 8 years of Hadi Sirika, we went back like maybe another 20 years because we are still grappling with basics in the aviation sector. We are talking about, infrastructure deficits of over 20 years for us to even catch up. We are talking about runway lights. As of last year, we are talking about runway lights. Though they be fixed, we are talking about sunset airports. These are not issues we should be discussing now. Nigeria, our airport is not even a hub in the West Africa region. So you begin to, it's saddening, and it's not to say that we don't have the people in the sector to take us to where we need to be. Imagine Ogunlesi is the owner of Gatwick Airport. Such an individual doing so well. We have people that can deliver on this promise, but for some reasons, we just don't see it happening.
Right.
So we just need people to be patriotic enough to help that sector move forward by doing what that needs to be done, getting the right people in the right place.
Just quickly, apologies. You mentioned that you always like to have an aviator handle these things. Festus Keyamo is not an
That's what I
aviator.
was going to ask.
So there's also this thing about who an aviator is, because we've had that conversation in an aviation forum where we have all the key guys in the aviation. Who is an aviator? Do you need an aviator? Because somebody said, but Hadi's an aviator, look at what happened. That will really need somebody that, for me personally, Hadi was one of the covers of my magazine, one of the edition, and I said, Hadi had the heart, because you need to have the heart to run the aviation sector, because there's so much rot there. Yeah. But it's more than having the heart. You must have the heart to kind of step on toes, because there's a whole lot of things going wrong there, but you must have the heart to do things in the right way. Hadi had the heart to do the wrong things. Okay.
Let's hang it on that. He had the heart to do the wrong thing. We have to have you again to analyze Festus Keyamo's time so far and a number of the changes that we've seen in the aviation sector. Toni Ukachukwu, thank you for always honoring our invite, and thank you for being here today.
Stopping by.
It's my pleasure.